White balance deals with the process of removing color casts in our photographs so that those areas that are white to our eyes are also rendered white in our photographs. And as well as hearing the term white balance, you may also hear the words color temperature, which refers to the relative warmth or coolness of white light. But to be honest, both of those terms are very much the same. Sometimes when we shoot images in cloudy conditions, we'll often see a slight blue cast to our photographs, and it can take some of the appeal away from them. But we also can think, of course, of our sunset and sunrise pictures, and these have that lovely warm colour which generally appeals to us. Our eyes are actually very good at judging what is white under different light sources, but digital cameras are not so intelligent. But if you've chosen to shoot raw files, the white balance you've selected will be applied to your raw images, but with raw images you can always change your white balance or your color temperature later on your PC. If you're shooting JPEG images, then those settings will have an effect. So here we've been looking at an enlarged version of a typical top plate on a digital SLR, but at some position on your camera you will have the color balance shown to you. Here you can see up in the top left corner we've currently got the auto white balance set, and you may find that this meets most of your needs most of the time. As we move through the settings on our camera, and each camera is going to be a little different, I think the daylight setting, the shade setting, and also the cloudy setting, I think they rather speak for themselves. But if we shoot indoors under normal household lights, the tungsten setting may be better. The images shot under indoor lighting can appear very yellow or even orange in extremes. I think the flash setting is also self-explanatory, but when we do connect a flash gun to our camera, it can add a very cool looking light, and this just gives a little more warmth. The fluorescent setting, that will balance the light and prevent our images from looking rather green and unappealing under fluorescent strip lights. Most cameras also offer us a custom white balance, and it's quite easy to set. We generally find something white in the same scene we're photographing, so it's all lit with the same color, temperature, light. We take a photo of it, make sure you fill the frame and don't overexpose it. Then we go to the camera's menu, select the custom white balance and select the image we've just shot. Now we can just turn to the setting you can see up at the top left there, and we can select our custom white balance. But remember, it is easy to adjust white balance after the shot's been taken with raw files, and good image editors like Photoshop and Lightroom handle these very easily. To finish this video, let me show you this quickly in Photoshop, but Lightroom, as I say, will do exactly the same thing. Here we're looking at one of my beachscapes taken at dawn, and you can see the overcast conditions here have affected the blue parts of the sea and turned them quite blue. So if during the manipulation of this image I wanted to increase the colour, you can see I make the blue far worse. So what we need to do is correct this. Now we've got a couple of ways to do this. If you look at the white balance up here, you can see that all of the settings I've got are very similar to what we saw on the camera. So when I said we can change them after we've shot the picture, let's choose cloudy here, and you can see the effect of that. It's warmed up the picture and the sea is almost all turned to white. There may be a slight magenta cast there, but we can always tweak that too. So we've got all of these options to choose from. We could try shade, and if we see something we like better, we can either use that or use it as a starting point for a manipulation. So it's quite good when we shoot raw because we've got all of these options. I'm going to return it to as the image was shot. Now the good image editors, and certainly Photoshop and Lightroom do this, also offer us a white balance tool. Now if we go all the way up to the top left, there's the tool I'm looking for. When I select it, we get an eyedropper. And what I need to do is to look around the image for something that should be a neutral tone. Well, let's take the water here and give a click. And there we have the color balance adjusted, and that's worked pretty well because now we're starting to see the green of the sea coming through. We've got the whites white, and now we could continue our manipulation. Here's another example, but very similar conditions. I'm going to go to my white balance tool, click into the water here, and look at that, we get an instant result. It's as quick as that. If you're shooting JPEG images, then the seconds after you've hit the shutter button, that white balance will be applied to your image. It doesn't mean that you've got no control over it at all when you get it into an image editor. You do. You just have a wider latitude with a raw file. In addition, we have manual settings of temperature and tint. So for example, with this sunrise shot, if I wanted to warm up the temperature, I can do that using the temperature control. So we could say that the temperature slider is a more corrective tool, whereas the tint may be more creative. But we have the opportunity to make these changes very quickly and very easily.